We can edit the button text just like regular text elements, but we can also customize the buttons themselves. Let's scroll up to the button that we have at the top of our home page. Let's actually delete this one and start from scratch. So if we right click, we can delete, and then from our Elements panel, we can drag and drop a new button in. Let's start to edit our button. In the Content tab, I'm going to leave the type as default, but I'll change the text here just as we've done before with other text elements, and I'll say get WordPress. And then buttons generally help our visitors to navigate between pages of our website. So here under link, I want this button to take visitors to our contact page. If you start typing contact and remove this, our contact page will show up here and we can select it. Now you can see the URL filled in here. You can add an icon along your button text as well. So we can either upload an icon, or if you click on the icon library, there are already a few from Font Awesome that we can look at. If we click on the Font Awesome brands library and search for WordPress, we actually have a few. So let's click on this and insert. And back over here, we can change the icon position and we can change the spacing in relation to the text if we'd like. I think I like it on the right. Now under style, let's make a few changes to the look of the button. I'm first going to center the position. If I open the typography settings, I can select a new font. I can increase the size, something like 25, looks good to me. And I can bold the text, maybe decrease the letter spacing to my liking. And if I scroll up and close the typography pane, I like the button text color of white here, but we can change the color of the actual button. We could pick a hex color like we've looked at before, or we can select something from our theme. And I might go with accent. Under box shadow, we have some options that we can use to make our button stand out. If I wanted this subtle, we could dial in the spread of the shadow so that it barely reaches past the edge of our button. You also have control over the blur here. And under color, we can even lower the opacity of that shadow. So I'll close the color picker and the box shadow options. Border radius is how you can round off the sharp corners. So if you take it to the extreme, you can make pretty round buttons here. I'm going to go with something like 5 for a much more subtle effect. And these values can be linked or unlinked with this button here. And under padding, you have even more control over the shape of the button. Let's unlink these values by clicking on the chain. And I think something like 15 pixels on top and bottom and 25 on right and left might look nice. Finally, if we select hover up here, we have full control as to how the button will look in the hover state as well. So let's enable the box shadow. If you remember, we just lightened the shadow of the normal state. So these default values for the box shadow in the hover state will make the button grow darker. Let's try that. We can also change the button hover color. So let's click globe. Let's choose accent, but then edit this to be just a shade darker. That way when we hover, this accent color gets darker as well. And this looks good to me, but you can change the transition duration here too, if you want this to take longer. And you can even add a hover animation. There's lots of these to choose from.